Hey everyone, I hope y'all are having a great day. If you don't know this about me, I'm kind of like a nostalgia fiend. I just love revisiting my childhood favorite books, movies, music. It's why Hannah Montana is probably one of my most played artists on Spotify. It's why I still get excited about new DCOMs. Like, I just love pretending that I haven't grown up. But yeah, sometimes I just get this surge of wanting to be nostalgic and revisit the things that I loved as a kid. So over the past few days, I've reread The Lightning Thief and the Sea of Monsters, which are the first two books in the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series, which was a series that I read as a 5th grader, between 4th and 5th grade, which was over 11 years ago. Do you ever put your age into perspective and then you kind of want to shrivel up? Whenever I reread something, I feel like I'm not allowed to make a video on it because it's something I've already experienced before. But then I realized that that's just a completely self-imposed rule. Why did I do that to myself? So I'm going to start this new series on this channel, maybe called like Revisiting Childhood Favorites, something very, not creative, but very to the point, where I get to talk about the things that I loved as a kid, which is something I love talking about. So in this video, we're talking about The Lightning Thief and the Sea of Monsters. The next video, will it be the Titan's Curse? Will it be the rest of the series? I don't know, we'll see. I'm thinking of like rereading the Twilight Saga, which I read as a 5th grader. Thinking of rereading the Hunger Games, which I read in the 6th grade. I'm about to go into my senior year of college. I am an old human, but sometimes I just really crave going back in time and like revisiting the things that I loved. And I feel like it's almost kind of like an experiment just to see how much your tastes have changed. Anywho, let's talk about The Lightning Thief first. So this video is going to be full of spoilers. This book series has been out for ages. If you haven't read it, I don't know what you're doing. You're illiterate. Go read it. The Lightning Thief has never been my favorite of the series. My favorites have really shuffled around. It used to be the Sea of Monsters. At one point it was the Battle of the Labyrinth. There was a solid amount of time in which it was the Titan's Curse. But The Lightning Thief has never really done it for me. And looking back on it, I still stand by that taste. It's a good book. It's just not amazing. I feel like it takes so long to start. Like, yes, within the first chapter, weird things are happening. So technically, there's stuff going on in the plot, but I feel like the true plot doesn't really kick off until we get to Camp Half-Blood and we get that quest. So until that happens, it kind of just feels like a huge waiting game, especially as someone who's read the series before. And also what I didn't realize is that Percy is so angry. He is such an angry little boy. He has so much attitude. People give Harry so much flack for being so mopey and bitter in the 5th book of the Harry Potter series, and this is only book 1. It's only book 1, and Percy's already so full of it. I mean, he's so funny and he's such a good heart, but also it's like, Percy, lighten up a little bit. Like, yes, you're on the verge of death all the time, but come on, laugh about it. Yeah, he's just like kind of angry all the time. Grover is so just obnoxiously bad at his job. And it's like Rick Riordan's really doing him so many favors by like having Percy highlight his good attributes, but the bottom line is that he kind of flops. The Lightning Thief, although it's slow to start and obviously not my favorite of the series, it's still so fun. It has so many classics. Like, we have the Minotaur, we have Medusa, we have the Lotus Casino. I can't remember what the situation was that called for it, but sometime during this summer, as a 21-year-old human, I made a reference to the Lotus Casino. And somebody, like, they understood what I was talking about. Did I really just pull that out of my 4th grade mind? Yeah. It's just really iconic. Something I also have realized looking back on the writing is that Rick Riordan really relies on a lot of senses, like physical senses, for things that could not be detected by senses, if that makes sense. I highlighted so many times Percy describes something as smelling ancient or smelling evil or something sounds ancient. It's like, how are you picking up on that? It's like clearly just a storytelling device to let us know that this thing is ancient, but it's like, what smells ancient, my dude, besides like food that's been in the fridge way too long? Like, what are you saying? What are you comparing it to? I don't understand. It was also really surprising to go back and realize that Sally was in an abusive relationship with Gabe, because Percy talks about like Gabe almost hitting Sally and Sally flinches, and he realizes that this has happened before. I was like, did I really read about domestic abuse as a 4th grader? Like, damn, that's some hard stuff. After rereading The Lightning Thief, which was such a joyride, it's so much fun, I immediately dove into the Sea of Monsters, which, as I said before, for a long time was my favorite of the series. And that slaps. That book slaps still. It's 2019, I'm 21, I'm no longer a 5th grader, but that book, it still does it for me. I feel like this might be a hot take, and it also might be like a foundationless take just because I haven't been keeping up with Rick Riordan's multiple series as well. So maybe I'm not fully credited to say this, but I really do feel like the quality of his series has dropped over time, and that his highest quality series is still the Percy Jackson and Olympians like original series. Without a doubt, Rick Riordan has become increasingly woke, increasingly diverse when writing his new series, and I really stand that. But in terms of writing and creativity, maybe it's just because in his later series he can't repeat ideas. Like, he can't go back to Medusa, he can't go back to the Golden Fleece, like he can't go back to the obstacles that are really classics in Greek mythology. Or maybe it's just because he has more pressure on him and he whips out these books so quickly now. I don't know, but I still think that PJO, the original series, is like the gold standard. Anywho, that was a tangent. The Sea of Monsters. It's so good. It's so good. From start to finish, amazing. I love that it's Clarice's quest. She's such a big bully, and Percy is always so gracious when the situation demands it. So he's like, yeah, you can take the fleece home. It's your quest. And it's like, Percy, you're such a big person. She tried to put your head in the toilet, but okay. Like, if you're gonna be nice, I guess I can't get mad about it. I love the Sirens. I love when Percy has to swim after Annabeth. And like, my 5th grade self was really so heartbroken for Percy when he grabbed her and he saw what she was seeing, and it was Luke on that hill. Like, Annabeth had saved Luke, and that was one of her biggest dreams. So honestly, I didn't really get this as a youngin', and I still don't get it. I don't know how romantic the relationship between Annabeth and Luke is supposed to be. Like, there's such a huge age difference that I feel like a lot of it is just a one-sided, young, silly crush that Annabeth has on Luke. But then I'm pretty sure in the last book, in The Last Olympian, before Luke dies, he asks Annabeth, oh, did you ever love me? And Annabeth is like, you know, I always thought of you as a brother, but I never really loved you. But it's like, at that point, Luke, you're 23. If you're a normal human, you'd probably be out of college by now. And she's 16. She's in high school. I'm only 21, but if one of my guy friends was looking at a 16-year-old and being like, I wonder if she loves me, I'd be like, excuse me? I'm calling the cops. Like, that's really not it. One thing that I definitely have a different opinion on is Circe Island. Like, you go to this island, it's only young women who are being pampered. They have face masks, they're reading magazines, they're drinking smoothies, they're looking their best. There are no men allowed on this island. And this is supposed to be a monster island? You're telling me this is in the Sea of Monsters? You're describing my actual version of heaven. Please take me to this island where it's only young women living their best lives. That is paradise. Annabeth had the opportunity to become a sorceress. Like, dude, that's practically a doorway to a crossover to Harry Potter. And she turned it down. For what? A dumb 13-year-old boy. Just leave him as a guinea pig. You could be living your best life. It's like my 11-year-old self was like, get off this island, it's dangerous. And my 21-year-old self is like, oh my god, take me there. Yeah. The Sea of Monsters still really holds up for me. Some things translated to the real world do really upset me, like the fact that Dionysus is their camp director and just could not give a single crap about any of these kids. It's like these kids already have the worst lives on this earth. They're always on the brink of dying. The least they could have is a camp director who actually cares about them. Or the fact that Percy gets blamed for literally everything that goes wrong. Like when they're doing chariot races and those metal birds attack them and they're like, Percy, this is your fault for driving your chariot so badly. It's like, that's so ridiculous. Being a scapegoat is not fun. It's so toxic. Like, there are so many things looking back on it, reading it, and I'm like, God, that is gross. Like, that's disturbing. But for the most part, it's still a really fun read. I just love this series. This is only my 2nd time rereading it. I reread this series, I think, before the release of some book in the Heroes of Olympus series. I can't remember which one. Loved it the first time I read it, loved it the 2nd time I read it, and now I'm going on the 3rd time, and I'm still loving it. I kind of want to do like a movie commentary reaction to the Percy Jackson movies. I've been watching a lot of movie commentaries lately on YouTube. Like, I love Dylan is in Trouble, and I love watching Trin. And I kind of want to react to book to movie adaptations, like with the perspective of someone who really cares about those books. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe I should just leave it to the people who are like really actually good at it. I just think it'd be fun. It'd be good entertainment, but also I'm really trying to love myself this summer, and I don't want to have to sit through that flaming garbage, because I already know. We already know that those movies, they belong in Tartarus. But yeah, if you enjoyed this concept of revisiting childhood favorites, seeing how your perspectives have changed on it, reminiscing on your favorite things, let me know. Leave me a comment, give me a thumbs up, whatever it is. I just need this feedback, because right now I'm really just doing this for myself and for my own enjoyment. I'd love to know other people's thoughts. There are some things that you grow out of, and there's some things that grow with you, and I feel like Percy Jackson is something that's really grown with me. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll have a fantastic day, and happy reading. Bye!